Promise me.
Right here, she said softly, her voice trembling like a fragile thread in the quiet night. Her eyes glistened beneath the silver glow of the stars, searching his face for a truth she hoped would last forever. He tilted his head back slowly, staring at the endless night sky as if asking the stars for courage. Then, with a deep, quiet breath, he looked back at her and nodded. That single nod carried a weight words could never hold, a promise made not in grand speeches, but in silent, unwavering devotion. Before we begin this emotional journey, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We love hearing your stories. Now settle in. This story will take you through love, doubt, and the kind of promise that can change two lives forever. The night air was calm and cool, wrapping around them like a soft blanket. They stood on a quiet hill overlooking their small hometown, the stars above sharp and brilliant, painting the sky with 1,000 tiny lights. She had always loved this spot. It was where they'd watched meteor showers as teenagers, where he'd first reached for her hand without saying a word, where their hearts had learned to speak a language of glances and silences. Now, years later, they stood there again, but the air was heavier and their breaths carried something unspoken. She turned to him slowly, her hands clasped together nervously. Her eyes were filled with both hope and fear, a delicate balance she'd carried for far too long. Life had begun to pull them in different directions. His job in another city, her family's expectations, the quiet pressure of time whispering that love alone might not be enough. She needed to hear something tonight. Something real. Something that would make her believe that what they had wasn't just a beautiful memory waiting to fade. He looked at her. Really looked. Not the distracted glances between conversations, but the way someone looks when they're trying to etch another person into their soul. Her hair caught the starlight, framing her face like something ethereal. But it was the vulnerability in her eyes that pierced through him. He'd always struggled with promises. He feared making them because he hated breaking them. But this time, as he stood there with the weight of their shared history pressing gently on his chest, he knew silence wouldn't do. She stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper.
Promise me.
Right here. No matter what happens, no matter where life takes us, we won't let this slip away. Her words were steady, but her hands trembled slightly, betraying the storm inside her. It wasn't a demand. It was a plea, one born of love, not fear. She wasn't asking for guarantees. She was asking for a choice. For him to choose her, even when life got complicated. His eyes drifted upward, toward the sky. The stars had always been their witnesses. Silent, eternal, unjudging. He thought of the first night they'd watched the constellations together, lying side by side on this very hill, making wishes neither dared to speak aloud. He thought of the promises he'd made silently back then, in the secret corners of his heart. And now, faced with her earnest gaze, he realized those silent wishes needed to become spoken vows. He lowered his gaze slowly, locking eyes with her. There was no dramatic music, no grand gesture, just the quiet sound of their breathing and the gentle rustle of wind through the trees. "I promise," he said softly. "Not because it's easy, but because you're worth it. Because this us is worth fighting for." His voice cracked slightly at the end, not from weakness, but from the gravity of the moment. It wasn't a perfect promise. It was a human one, fragile, sincere, and real. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of being seen, of being chosen. She reached for his hand, and he met her halfway. Their fingers intertwined like they always had, as if no time had passed. The stars above seemed brighter, the night air warmer, though nothing in the world had changed except the truth that now sat between them like a steady flame. A promise had been made, not carved in stone, but written in the quiet honesty of two souls choosing each other. They stood there for a long time in silence, letting the world fall away. For the first time in a while, neither worried about the future. The weight of tomorrow had lifted just enough for them to breathe again. Sometimes it's not the loud declarations that define love. It's the quiet moments under the stars where two hearts align and say, I choose you, even when life doesn't give guarantees. If this story moved your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in love that lasts. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing your thoughts. And if you haven't already, subscribe to The Gentle Truth for more powerful emotional stories that stay with you long after they end.